What if I told you that you've been lying to the people that you claim to love the most? We're going to take care of that today. Hi, my name is Tasha Skillen, and I help people-pleasing perfectionists redesign their life to become the original brilliant self they were born to be, fulfill their purpose, create deeper connections in their relationships, and more joy in their daily lives, guilt-free. If you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and click that now. And if you have not turned on the notifications, tap the bell so you're the first to know when another video drops. Most people think that if you implement boundaries in your relationships, that you're going to cause ripples and issues and maybe even arguments or conflict in that relationship. And that's because oftentimes when you've tried to institute a boundary, you've kind of squeaked your way into the conversation without really setting the understanding or understanding the scope of how this can benefit both people in the relationship. You possibly have learned throughout your lifetime that when you ask for something from someone else that will make you feel safe or secure, that you are burdening them. And somewhere along your life, you may have learned to adapt and accommodate those around you because it was just easier to do that than to have the conversations that can be a little bit uncomfortable. You may have even learned that people in your life can be fragile when you try to have some of these conversations about what you need and the limitations that you were craving to feel safe and secure. For many of you, you learned that it's your job to take care of somebody else's feelings. So in the past, when you've tried to stand up for yourself and put a boundary in place that will help you get more time, get more attention or more affection or more space, whatever the need is, you may have experienced some pushback, some resistance, and you misinterpreted that pushback or that resistance as pain or that you weren't being fair to the other person. And so instead of having these conversations in all areas of your life and all the relationships where you need to put a boundary in place so that you can feel safe, so that you can make progress, so that you can grow and develop the way you need to, you've stopped having those conversations and you avoid them, which means you've gone into reactionary and responding mode, and then you are also constantly accommodating and adapting to everyone else's needs around you. What happens when you do that is you start losing parts of yourself. You start covering up what you need and who you are little bit by little bit in the relationship over here, the relationship over there, and you become someone who is a chameleon, which can be really effective to maneuver through a challenging situation, but it then also has the nasty side effect of you losing who you are. And over the course of years, sometimes decades, in specific relationships, it becomes so severe that you actually aren't being your authentic self in that relationship. You find yourself looking at someone who you can't be your full self with, and even though you've been doing this growing underneath the surface, no one else has gotten to see that. And so they're surprised when you have a new desire or you have something that you're going to ask for to be shifted or changed in the rhythm of the relationship, household, your work environment, your team, whatever it may be. When you're being dishonest about what you need, it's lying. When you're not forthcoming with these things that you need to feel safe, to have your own experience that is independent from the people around you, have your own time, you actually are being dishonest, and it's deceiving the other person, making them think that you're okay, you're happy enough. They have no other way to support you other than what you're saying. They have no way to really understand who you are and what you need because you're not bringing it to the forefront and you're not having these conversations that would allow them to really get to know who you are now versus maybe who you were 10, 15, 20 years ago. And sometimes we do this in new relationships as well. You may meet someone new and dial down your enthusiasm for a certain topic or your excitement about a thing coming up. Or maybe you dial up one aspect of your life from 15 years ago because you haven't created the opportunity for yourself to grow in an area that you would like to have some growth or new experiences or tap into when it comes to your creativity. So when you aren't being clear about the boundaries that you need from the people around you that you love, you're lying to them. Omitting what you need, avoiding asking for what would make you feel safe and secure in a relationship that you're co-creating with someone that you care about is deceiving them. It isn't showing up as the full person you are. And so the other person believes that you are being honest with what you say you need or is okay for them to do or ask of you. And when you do this continuously over a long period of time, the relationship becomes based on a false pretense and not your authentic presence. I know that you feel like you're protecting your relationship. You're protecting that other person from having to accommodate something different than what has happened for maybe sometimes decades. And maybe some of the feedback that you've received was defensive when you have tried to put boundaries in place, when you have asked for more time alone and for support in trying something new. But my friend, that resistance that you're experiencing from the other side of that relationship, when you're trying to put a boundary in place, trying to ask for something that you need, isn't about you. Most of the time there will be some resistance in a relationship when you do start putting a boundary in place, especially when we're talking about our partners or our kids. And when you start saying no to requests, when other people are asking for something that they've been able to ask you for and you've, without even thinking about it, have said yes for years and years and years, most of the time there will be resistance. But that doesn't mean that you're wrong, and that doesn't mean that you've made a poor decision or that you're being selfish or that you are upset with them. When you commit to following through with a boundary that you need to put in place, saying no to a request to help somewhere, to volunteer somewhere, to give your time or your energy in a place that no longer serves, where your best self can show up. If you're consistently doing that, the new rhythm in that relationship will begin to take place. And after 4 or 5 times of sticking to that habit, sticking to that new boundary you put in place, the rhythm will pick up and the relationship will adapt. Please don't misinterpret their discomfort or their frustration or their surprise as pain or as unfair or unjust. One of the best ways you can start this conversation in a relationship that you care about is to have a mutual conversation about boundaries that you both need to shift and change. Asking the other person what they need more of from you, what they need less of from you, what they need help with, especially when you're talking about this with your partner. Where do you need some time by yourself if you're going to be asking time for yourself? Where do you need some help with the household chores that we've split up? Where are some things that we can switch around so that you have what you need while I'm also going to be getting what I need? This reassures the other person in the relationship that you're not trying to leave the relationship, that you're actually trying to connect and help you both have what you need and get what you need out of that relationship. If keeping what you need to yourself and putting everyone else first was the right way to do this relationship thing, you'd feel a lot better more often saying yes to the things you say yes to. You would not be anxious when someone is texting you or calling you, or you're going to be seeing someone when you run into them at another location. If you don't address this, you will start to resent the people that you love the most, that you have a relationship that you want to last a lifetime. You're going to get resentful and maybe even feel contempt, which will prevent your relationship from growing by no fault of their own. So let me ask you, do you really want to keep lying to your partner, your sister, your friend, your kids by not having conversations about what you need and putting the boundaries in place, by saying no when you need to be saying no, and asking for space and time and energy to do what you want to do, to fulfill your calling, to answer your purpose, to explore ideas? You're going to create a canyon between you and that other person that can't be filled. You can develop a deeper relationship with that person by refusing to continue this pattern that is unhealthy for both of you. Some of this can happen more easily when you have words that are going to be helpful for you to be more empowering in how you communicate. For a guide to the 7 phrases to quit, check the link in the description below. And let's start having better conversations with the people we care about so we can get closer and you both can move toward fulfilling your purpose and creating that deeper relationship. Make sure you check out my Instagram and my Facebook page for more tips on how to move out of people-pleasing mode and into personal purpose. If you enjoyed this video, click the thumbs up, make sure you subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell if you haven't already so that you're the first to know when the next video drops. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.